Rescuers are scrambling to find survivors tonight after a monster earthquake in Myanmar that's killed more than 1,600 people. The magnitude 7.7 quake rocked central Myanmar on Friday, with fears the death toll could reach as high as 10,000 people. For the second night, teams with little protective equipment dug through debris and flattened buildings for signs of life. But rescue efforts have been hampered by shortages of heavy machinery, damaged roads and a nation still reeling from a civil war sparked by a military coup. We'll get the latest from Myanmar from our correspondent Bill Birtles shortly, but we start tonight with Kathleen Calderwood.
The search for survivors. Rescuers using basic tools and bare hands to pull people from the rubble. Emergency crews think they've found this man's wife. He says he's losing hope they'll get to her in time. But as night falls, they manage to reach her, the relief clear to see as she's carried out. Rescue efforts across the country are also being made worse by the ongoing civil war. Aid groups saying some areas are simply impossible to reach. The quake, which struck Myanmar just after midday on Friday, was felt across the region. This video from China showing midwives protecting newborns as it hit, one holding onto a baby while trying to protect another. In Thailand, tourists who were enjoying rooftop swimming pools suddenly scrambling for safety. The shaking so severe the sides of buildings turned into temporary waterfalls. In Bangkok, authorities say around 80 crew working on this collapsed high-rise are still missing. Emergency crews having to balance the crude use of heavy machinery with the delicate task of keeping those who may still be trapped alive.
We have to act fast because every second counts.
But not every story is one of rescue. The families of those who were working here have gathered nearby, setting up makeshift vigils, peering at where the tower once stood.
I came to look for my brother. He's stuck inside and my mum kept crying.
International aid is beginning to arrive and the Australian Prime Minister's announced $2 million for immediate humanitarian relief in Myanmar. But this is now the third day of searching here in Bangkok and across the region, and as time goes by, the chances of finding anyone alive continue to dwindle.
But the families remain watching and waiting for a miracle. Kathleen Calderwood, ABC News, Bangkok.
Let's bring in our correspondent Bill Birtles now. He's near the border with Myanmar in Thailand. Bill, aid is starting to trickle in, but is it getting where it's needed?
Well, Meredith, we heard from a resident of Mandalay who said that as of this morning, he hadn't seen any of those foreign rescue crews from China, from India, from Russia in that hardest hit city itself. He said it's mainly local community groups who are banding together to sort through the rubble. He said the focus in Mandalay is an apartment complex where 4 towers collapsed. He said it's not clear, but potentially dozens of people buried under the rubble there. And like in Bangkok, it's a race against time for people to try and find them. But also in Myanmar, they just don't have the heavy machinery that's available in Thailand to do that work quickly. So time is running out there. Otherwise, we've heard that the road conditions throughout the country are particularly tricky now because of damage. And we saw, for example, some foreign aid crews landing in Yangon. It looks like just getting up to the central area that is hardest hit has been pretty difficult for them. If there is one little small slither of optimism, that resident we spoke to, Meredith, said that in his estimation, about 80% of the buildings in Mandalay, he says, are still okay. They haven't been really damaged that much. So perhaps the overall level of damage isn't quite as widespread as originally feared.